Hi everyone, I'm Mel Walkup, physical therapist, and I'm the founder of Out of the Box Physical Therapy YouTube channel. My first series is going to be on finding your first job as a physical therapist coming right out of PT school. And I want to focus today on just simply where should you apply? All right, friends, let's get started. So, where should you apply? You just graduated from physical therapy school, or maybe hopefully you're kind of doing some preparation before you even graduate in terms of where you're going to land your first PT job. Today I'm going to give you three main tips with a little bonus tip thrown in there on just the way I went about finding my first PT job, and it worked out pretty well for me, so I just want to share that life experience with you. So let's get started with that. Number one thing, before you even start looking for a job, is where geographically are you interested in? There's a lot of PT jobs out there, guys. If you just start looking up jobs without a location in mind, you're going to get overwhelmed really quickly. So where do you want to go? Is it going to be where your significant other lives, close to family? Are you kind of starting a new adventure and you're down to go wherever? You need to know the answers to those questions. I felt like for me it was easier to just hone everything in to decide where I wanted to go geographically before I even started looking up job positions and what have you. It seems like common sense, but I think it can be helpful just to hear that first off before you even start looking up jobs. So far as looking up those specific jobs and how to even start that process, I mean, honestly, Google is going to be your friend. You can start looking up PT positions available in wherever. For me, it was Baltimore or other little towns in that area, and you'll start seeing things pop up. What I noticed was Indeed.com and Glassdoor had a lot of different positions that helped guide me. So that was a big help for me in just taking those first steps and finding a job. And if it's an option for you, I suggest not to necessarily pick your housing situation until you have found a job that you're really interested in. The reason I say that is it's going to take a lot of stress off of you if you can find housing that's relatively close to where you work, rather than just being so fixed on living in this particular area of the city. But now all of a sudden you really like this PT position, but it's 40 minutes away, and maybe you'll take this more mediocre position just because it's 5 minutes away from home. I'm just kind of a fan of go to the job that sounds like it's going to fit you better, over just picking a job because you'll be able to walk to that position. So that's just one little piece of advice I'll give you if it's an option. Obviously, some of you, maybe you're moving in with someone or what have you, and so that's not really an option. All right, tip number 2. I think it's a really good job to follow your passion in terms of selecting or going after certain PT positions that you start seeing pop up on your Google search. What I mean by that is simply take time to reflect on what you really liked from your student internships during the didactic work at school, what have you. I think the internships are going to be what really guides you a little bit more in this area. Hopefully you got some internships that were kind of different from each other, different settings, so you could just get a glimpse of what different settings look like. Did you like ortho better, neuro, outpatient, inpatient? Maybe you loved everything and you're kind of like, oh my gosh, I don't even know where to start. And that's okay. You're just getting out of PT school. I assure you still have a lot to learn as a physical therapist going into that first year. So don't stress about too much. Just be real with yourself about what you really loved most, and ask yourself the question, like when you're looking at a job position, why am I looking at this job position? Like why here? Why do I want to go here? I think that's an important piece of advice to really take to heart when you're looking for that first PT job. And by the way, what you found passionate as a student in physical therapy school, you know, that might change in your first year actually working as a PT, and that's okay. You might think that you really like outpatient ortho and you do it for a year, and you know, maybe you're starting to realize you like neuro a little bit more, or you want to become a pelvic floor specialist or something like that. So you're never set in stone with that first job, and I'll talk more about that later. So don't worry too much. Just like pick a job that you think you're really interested in, sounds really cool when you read the description, you feel excited, and let that guide you into your first job. Tip number 3 is do some investigation work. You know, now you know geographically where you want to end up. You've already started looking at PT jobs, and have an idea what setting you want to go into. And now maybe you're applying for those jobs. Do some investigative work when you're picking those jobs. For example, do you know any PTs in the area? Ask them their opinions about different clinics. PTs tend to hear things about other clinics and might have an opinion about this clinic or this PT and what have you, and that can be really helpful information. That can be some inside information that you're simply not going to find just looking at a job description online. One personal example I can give to you about how it really benefited me reaching out to physical therapists I knew in the area was that when I was a student, I did an internship in Baltimore, where my now wife lives. And so when I was finding my first job, I did pick the location based on loved ones in the area. So I wanted to move to Baltimore. One of the first things I did was reach out to my former CI to ask him some opinions about some job openings I saw within that same company, because there were a few available. That was really helpful. He gave me some really good information about the people I'd be working under, for example, and it really helped guide me to make a decision I felt comfortable with when I decided to apply for certain jobs. So that's just one example of how you can really benefit from using your resources in the area. I mean, listen to them, take it seriously. A job description is never going to tell you the whole truth about how a clinic is and how a supervisor is or how employees are going to be or treat you. So if you get that inside scoop, that's super valuable. That's better than anything you can read online about a certain job description. So remember, the 3 biggest tips I want to leave you with is know where you're going, know the where, follow your passion. What were you passionate about as a student? Let that guide you into a certain setting. And then number 3, do some investigation work on those different jobs you see popping up on Google. Hope that's helpful for y'all. I'm going to have a couple more videos coming out on this whole process. Good luck in your search for your first PT job.